Okay, review embargo lifted. Let's talk Deadpool and Wolverine. Hey everyone, Bruce from What's Popping in. I just got out of a pre-screening of Deadpool and Wolverine with our friends, Disney South Africa and GES Cosplay. Massive shout out to them. Thank you for having me at this incredible event. It was, of course, a ton of fun. Now, I'm going to keep this review spoiler-free, so don't worry. Don't click off if you're worried about catching any spoilers of the film, because there is a ton to dissect in this movie. There is so much for the fans. I was pleasantly surprised by this film. I honestly was quite worried about it, especially seeing this now big transition between the Fox universe and Disney. Disney, of course, taking them over, and trying to see how they were going to incorporate Deadpool into the MCU proper. The big question for me going into this was, we have two heavy-hitting Marvel characters. Are you able to tell both of their stories and do them justice in this film? I mean, we're now in Phase 5 of the MCU. We have our first R-rated film in the genre. I think that this was the right movie for it. I think that these were the right characters to bring into an R-rated movie. It really helped to sort of have these characters who you believe would be swearing and fighting and throwing blood, guts, and gore at each other. It really helped to ground it in that. But this is definitely the palate cleanser that gets you into that kind of mood. And I think that the team who put this production together, you can see the love that they put into the fandom on screen. It really, really translates well. And I know a lot of the cast spoke about this movie, about it being a moment that actually be really sad when it was over. And you got that feeling watching it. You could see that there was a real camaraderie on set, and that everybody who took part in this film was there for the love of it. And that's something that Marvel seems to have been lacking recently. So to have a story where we have two heavy-hitting characters needed to complete these full narrative arcs inside 2 hours, I was very skeptical, but I'm pleasantly surprised to say that they pulled it off. I have enjoyed the first Deadpool movies, but I'm not going to lie, some of them sort of become a bit long in the tooth for me. I think that Ryan Reynolds is doing what Ryan Reynolds does best on screen in those movies. Where this movie is strongest is at that interplay between Deadpool and Wolverine. That's in the title, right? Deadpool and Wolverine. That is the team up. That is what the film is about. That is where the heart of the film is. And seeing their relationship grow, seeing them sort of riff off of each other, seeing Wolverine's frustration with Deadpool in so many moments is something that I kind of related with as the audience, because he is the merc with the mouth. He's always shooting his mouth off. He's always turning every situation into something funny, making light of a lot of really heavy, dark topics. And seeing Hugh Jackman's Wolverine play off against that and react to it, and how he develops in his reactions to it, was really, really refreshing to see on screen. I think that the movie did a really good job as well of handling its cameos. We're not seeing cameos for cameos' sake, and that's something that has been a cardinal sin that we've seen Marvel committing in their last couple of films, throwing a cameo in and hoping that that is going to be enough to carry the movie. You could take every massive cameo out of this film. You shouldn't, because they were awesome and really paid homage to the 20th Century Fox characters. You could take a ton of those out and the movie still works. It's not a case of like Spider-Man No Way Home, where the movie was completely reliant on the return of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield to kind of get the audience to buy into it. The characters that you see on screen all have a reason to be there. They all push the plot forward and they all fit into this universe, which is really, really cool. What I think is something that I've been worried about in Marvel movies of late is the amount of homework that is needed to actually watch one of these movies. And I'm thankful to say that there's not that much needed for this. I mean, if you're going into this movie early on and you're watching this review early, you're obviously a big Deadpool fan. It helps a lot, obviously, knowing a lot about the Deadpool universe, because you're going to miss out on some of those little jokes, those little riffs, those little plays that Ryan Reynolds is just known for throwing into the role. So if you do have that, great, awesome. If you're an X-Men fan, even better, because obviously a ton of X-Men references thrown in there, maybe a cameo or two that are going to appear on screen. And as I alluded to earlier in the review, there is a really great juxtaposition between the coming of age of these characters in the MCU while still paying homage to the 20th Century Fox universe. We see it in some of the cameos, we see it in the way those characters are handled in the cameos. It's definitely not for the sake of characters flashing across screen, being thrown down into the dust and being made fun of. There's a lot of connective tissue that is really tying now the 20th Century Fox universe and the MCU proper in place. And I think that's where my biggest concern was. Would they be able, in an R-rated movie where there is such a huge discrepancy between kind of the Disney ideals and the traditional Marvel ideals and the Fox ideals that we saw with the original Deadpool movies, would these be able to meld together? And in this movie, we see that happening. And I think a big reason for that is Hugh Jackman. I think the fact that we have a grounded character who's very believable when he's stern, when he's angry, when he's violent, it really plays off well against Ryan Reynolds' playful Deadpool, who is just kind of playing the fool half the time and just doing what he does best with a smile on his face under the mask, you would assume, because he's doing what Deadpool does best. But ultimately, this is a really, really fun outing. I think Marvel fans are going to be delighted. I think if you're a 20th Century Fox universe fan, you're going to feel that the characters were done justice. If you're an MCU fan, I think there's a lot to be excited about. Yeah, I think that moving forward into the MCU, we're going to start to see how these characters start to move forward. The groundwork is obviously laid for that, but a lot of really great stuff in this movie, guys. Really funny, an amazing soundtrack. The soundtrack is so well selected and just really plays off well against some of the fight sequences and these intense action set pieces where they were able to build some tension. You may think, and something that crossed my mind for sure, was how do you create tension in a battle between two characters who are in essence kind of immortal? They do a really good job of giving a reason for the fight, getting into the fight, having this incredible action set piece, and then getting the story moving, which is something that you worry about as you start to see, more and more runtimes getting well over that 2-hour mark. So ultimately, 2 hours incredibly well spent. Well done, Marvel. Take some lessons from this, please. Take this forward into the MCU, a massive breath of fresh air into the Marvel universe. Can we say that this saves the MCU? It's too early to say, in my opinion. I think it's way too early to start putting a peg in the ground saying, Marvel is back, baby. Yeah, this movie was great. I really enjoyed it. I think the critics are going to love it. I think the fans are going to love it. But it is, again, one movie. And maybe that's what makes it good. It stands as a standalone film. You can take it out of the MCU, watch it anytime. It makes sense. It has a plot. And if you've missed all the homework beforehand, they do a really good job of just kind of with throwaway guidelines, letting you know what you need to know in the scene. If you've missed season 1 of Loki, season 2 of Loki, half of the X-Men movies, it doesn't matter. You will pick up the story. And that's what helps it to sort of stand up as a standalone film, which is something, again, that Marvel's been lacking. And you want a movie-going experience where you go in and you enjoy the film. You go and you say, I went and I enjoyed that experience. If I don't want to carry on with the story, that's fine. I don't need to do a ton of watching 60 seasons and 400 movies before I go into this. But I can go in there, turn off, have an amazing time, and see some amazing action sequences, see some things that I know fans have been looking forward to seeing for a very, very long time. Some of the issues and the mistakes made by the MCU is definitely made light of, while still holding Fox to the standard that I think Fox fans would like to see. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you excited for Deadpool and Wolverine? Have you seen it yet? And let's keep it spoiler-free.